our next guest. But before I'm going to introduce you. This is the Opinionated Idiot. We're actually going to be coming on his show.
Awesome.
I actually watched his show earlier. He's amazing.
Thank you. Good stuff. Good stuff. But before we get into anything else, I do want to answer this $5 super chat that I've had on here. Sarah Davis says, "Do you think his dad knew what he did before they got to PA?" My thoughts are no. I don't think he said anything about that to anybody. We'll do a little round table real quick. Blue, Jaime, and then I'll ask Amber and Opinionated. But first, Blue, do you think Bryan Kohberger's dad knew by the time they got to Pennsylvania?
I would think no, because he didn't look for a lawyer right away. They would have lawyered up right away.
Okay, what about you, Jaime?
No, he didn't. They had that plan a while before. I don't think he knew anything about it. If he's the guy, you know what I mean? If Bryan is the guy, but I don't think he knew about it.
Yeah. What about you, Opinionated?
My name's
apologize
Bryan.
About the name.
My name's Bryan.
I don't want to
You can
say
call me
opinionated so much.
No, you can call me Bryan. I'm
All
Bryan.
right. Hey, man. Hey, I might call you something else, man. I've called Kim Pam for like 2 weeks, man, and I started a big old conspiracy on that. So if I call you something else, you might get a conspiracy out of it. Who knows?
It's all good. It's all good.
What do you think, Bryan?
Okay, you want me to throw a monkey wrench into the works here?
Do it.
Let's hear it.
Okay, I think it was a long ride back. I have to say that. You got a father and son together. I thought that I don't know if he flat out and came and told his dad, allegedly.
Right.
Maybe he, hey dad, I got something going on, maybe kind of that conversation, because I find it very weird that when you go back to the two videos of when they were pulled over, I can't remember, it was either the first or second one, when his dad right away started deflecting to, hey, did you see what happened at WSU? We just left and there was a shooter. It's just really interesting. So, that's kind of the $1 million question. Did the father know, before they got back to PA? So that's how I've kind of always looked at it.
Yeah.
Interesting. What about you, Amber? Do you think that the father knew?
No, I don't think he knew, and I'll tell you why. When they got pulled over, the first thing Bryan said is, "We're just going up here to this Thai restaurant." And his dad totally interrupted and was like, "No, we're coming from WSU," and just started spilling his guts. And Bryan's looking at him like, "Dad, what are you doing?" And that would lead me to believe that he's like, "Oh my God, my dad's giving too much information. I'm going to get caught right here and right now."
Yeah. Yeah. For me, I don't think. Thank you, Miss Q, or Missy Q. I'm sorry. I don't think he told his dad on the trip. He may have. They may have. I don't doubt that the conversation came up about the incident, just because it's a few days travel, to go all the way from Moscow to Pennsylvania, and from Moscow, Idaho to Pennsylvania. And so I think it probably did come up. I don't think he said anything about it. But it's possible. I mean, it sure is possible. That's a long drive. You could definitely tell that the dad was nervous about it. It's definitely possible. Do you guys, and I'll ask you, Bryan, do you think that, what are your thoughts on the case so far, as do you think Bryan acted alone? Do you think there was somebody else involved, or do you think that Bryan wasn't involved? They got the wrong guy.
Sure. So I think the evidence is very, very strong against Bryan Kohberger. I mean, I've kind of been saying that all along. And I have on my channel, I have a lot of people that are divided to say that he's innocent or he's guilty. And that's what I love about these conversations, that we can throw a lot of theories and opinions out there, and we can squash, talk about all the conspiracy theories and stuff like that. But I think right now, the evidence, that piece, the probable cause affidavit was probably one of the most detailed probable cause affidavits that I've ever seen in read through my entire life. And when I looked at all of that, I said, wow, this is going to be, they have a lot of stuff on this guy. And the thing that's very interesting and what I want people to look at is, you know, we talk about, there's been a lot of the speculation about the cell phone data and the locations of the cell phone data. If you go back to the Murdaugh trial, and they literally narrowed it down by feet and inches. I don't know what program they actually run all the data through, but I'm like, you're going to see a lot of that in this case as well. I just think, and now you look at the search warrant of all the items, the other items that have been, taken from, one, Kohberger's apartment, two, from his parents' house. And, the thing is that everybody's saying right now, like, oh, he can't be, it can wait until they process this evidence. Wait, and, they're going to process that. The vehicle is going to be torn apart, and they're going to scrub every, inch of that white Hyundai Elantra down. I mean, and the thing is there's any bit of that DNA from any of those victims in that car, it's game over. I mean, right. So for me, and I'm sorry to cut you off, but for me, I feel like the evidence is very strong against Kohberger. But I always say this as well too. Any person that is a suspect before they go to trial is always, due to a fair trial. Right. And they're always presumed, innocent until found guilty in a court of law. So that's kind of where I stand on it.
Yeah.
Would your opinion change if there's no blood found in the car?
No, because that trace DNA at the sheath, it's just that's hard to explain. That's going to be very hard. I think people are going to be very, very. I wouldn't say I may be surprised, but I think there's so much more that we don't know to this that's being hidden, and that's why I think the gag order came up again. To what was it? 30 news outlets the other day tried to petition to get the gag order put down, and they're not going to allow it. There's a lot of, there's a lot going on that we don't know.
Yeah.
Thank you, Oh man. Ina Shu.
Ina Shu.
Sorry if I tore that up. I apologize, but thank you for becoming a member. I've seen you in the live chat quite a bit. We appreciate your continued support. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, you guys, I'm going to jump off here. I got 2 kids to get ready for bed for school tomorrow. I'm going to let you talk to this wonderful gentleman here. I watched your show earlier. Dude, you amazed me with your show. I'm just going to tell you that.
I appreciate it.
Huge fan of the Drunk Turkey Show as well. You guys are amazing. Thanks for letting me up here and sharing what I know. And I will continue to be watching while I get my kids ready for bed. I appreciate you guys so much.
Thank you,
Amber. Have a good night.
Have a good night.
Have a good night, Amber. Thank you for coming on.
They abbreviated for Inanna.
The what?
What's that, Blue?
They abbreviated the name of the new member, Inanna.
Oh, Inanna. Okay.
Daniel, I have a question for you guys if you guys haven't discussed it yet. But I go back to the 2 notes that were found that were confiscated at Bryan's parents' house. And I'm sure I don't know if you guys talked about this. I kind of came in your show midway this evening. So you have the one note that was seized that was from Bryan to his father. And then there's the other one that I haven't heard anybody talk about, but Bryan to someone maybe named Montana. Have you guys talked about that?
We haven't talked about that tonight. We did talk about that the other day. Let me pull that up real quick.
Sure.
I think I have, and we'll address it again. No big deal.
What's he called? Was it Bryan? Right?
Yeah, Bryan. Yeah.
I like your beard, man. It's nice.
I'm about 8 months. I'm trying to do a full year. So
nice.
Nice.
You know what? I got it.
I trimmed mine last week, so I'm a failure. Nah, the mask don't fit. When I put the N95s,
oh yeah, they get in the way.
I have to use them at work still.
Sure.
But what's it called? When it comes down to the gag order, isn't that requested for by the defense or by the prosecutor?
That was the judge.
That was the judge that just put a general gag order. Yeah.
But the defense has come forward asking to be stricter. Yeah, because there's a lot of information that's coming out. And basically the reason why the defense doesn't want it to come out, more information to come out is just because they don't want to taint anything.
Yeah.
And they don't want a jury pool to come into the case already with an opinion about the case, as far as what's the word I'm looking for? As far as there it is. All right. Oh man, I don't think you guys can read that. But as far as the like for instance, if you get a jury that comes in that thinks that Bryan's guilty from the word jump before the court even starts, then it's an uphill climb. You want to get people who know as little as possible, and at the same time, I think that what the Kohberger defense team is wanting is basically people to stop talking about it as much. You know what I mean? For people to forget. And I don't think that's going to happen. I think this case is way too big.
One of the things on their checklist is, are y'all drunk turkey fans? If you say yes, you're not going to be on the trial, guys. We talk about it way too much.
Yeah. If you ever listen to the Drunk Turkey Show, you answer yes, you're not getting it. You're not going to be a jury. Thank you so much, Sarah Davis, for the $1 super chat. We appreciate you.
Before we start, guys, in a little bit, I'm going to jump off. I got to work again tonight. Got to pay the bills.
Sure.
Yeah.
No problem. So you said, so there was a note from Bryan from Montana. And so that's what I had thought it had said. I know it's kind of hard to read, but when was he in Montana?
Well, I think maybe there was I'm sorry to jump in, but I think maybe there was maybe in the transcription of when the person was writing the notes on the search warrant, maybe they meant to put from Bryan to Montana. Mm-hmm. It just sounds weird, like from Bryan from Montana.
Well, it could have been a note from Bryan to maybe one of his parents while he was in Montana.
Oh, okay. Yeah, fair enough.
Or to Hannah Montana.
I agree with Bryan. I agree with Bryan. I think at the end, when the trial starts and we get to listen to all the evidence and everything, I know it's gonna be a lot of surprises. It's gonna be so in depth. It's not gonna be funny, man. I think we just got the tip of the iceberg here.
I have a question, guys. Why do you think that in all of the documents that we've seen so far that they continue to redact the two roommates' names? We all know who they are. We all know it's public, but they continue to redact their names. Do you think that it's because to protect them, or could they be involved?
I think it's more to show the court that they're doing everything in their power to continue to, even if that information has been put out, that they're not going to put out any more information and continue to try to gag as much as they can, so to speak. If they start just throwing the names, or as things come out and they just start putting pieces out there, then I think that would violate not just the gag order, but also it's a slippery slope. So once things start coming out, if they allow it, and even if I don't even think they can, even if it's out there, say that, what's the word? They have to deny or confirm nor deny type of questions. So I have the actual thing. So I'm going to try to find it. It says note to dad from Bryan. So there's more than one note in here. It's once to his dad from Bryan. Documents, medical documents.
I'm gonna say one thing, man. Whoever wrote this, God damn.
Yeah, man.
I just think it's crazy that the first thing on there is like knife.
Yeah.
You're like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes you think that that's something very important.
Right.
Now, I don't think it's the actual knife that was used.
Sure.
I think it could be a knife that's similar, though. And it would show that he has knives of the same type of knife that was used at to accessibility to it. Let's see.
You don't think they will put the brand on there?
They should, to be honest with you. And the reason you want to put the brand on there is, like, for instance, well, no, actually you don't. you want to be descriptive about it, about what you're putting in as a receipt. But the reason being is, for instance, let's just say it was a fake Gucci purse, right? You go and you confiscate a fake Gucci purse. You put in the evidence receipt that you confiscated a Gucci purse. And then when you have to give it back, that person can then turn around and say, hey, I gave you a real Gucci purse. This evidence receipt says you confiscated a Gucci purse. You gave me this, now you can start some drama there. So, from when I was in law enforcement, we were told not to put like name brands in case it was fake. But every department's different and things like that.
Yeah.
But you would describe it. You would say something to the effect like 7-inch knife, fixed blade knife with a guard, brown in color, with the insignia of this on it.
What's it called? But like even with the weapons, Smith and Wesson, all that stuff, it was on there.
No, yeah, you're absolutely right, and that's something that does seem kind of odd because it's something that's out of character from what they're putting on here. Like they got the serial numbers. They have, for instance, they have a Glock 22 Gen 5. I mean, it's pretty descriptive there.
Yeah, exactly.
The Smith & Wesson pocket knife. They have a culinary knife with a sheath somewhere in here as well. And so, that is pretty odd that they're very vague on it. Do you think that if it was the actual knife that was used during the commission of the crime, that I think that information would have came out? I think that there's no way they couldn't keep the fact that somebody saw someone in the house silent. Not everybody knew, but everybody had heard the rumors before, Dylan's, the probable cause affidavit came out. There was rumors for a long time that one of the surviving victims had seen somebody in the house.
Yeah. What's it called? If we didn't have social media, that would have stayed a secret.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That would have stayed something very close net. Nobody would have known anything about it. No.
And that's the thing. And that's the thing now, too. I'm sorry to cut you off, Daniel. That's the thing now is that, with social media, so much information travels lightning fast, and I think that's why these lawyers and judges get out right away. They gag order everything now. So cases can't be discussed, information, but your mainstream media is going to go in and they're going to dig as much, even if, they might be throwing a little money here and there. Can I get some kind of story out of you? They're going to dig and try to keep them as relevant in the media as well, too, because that's what it's all about.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and not only that, but like also like social media, it's like I was telling Danny, it's like a fish story. You know what I mean?
Right.
By the end of the story, the fish is like 4 feet long and whatnot.
Yeah, exactly. It's like playing telephone.
Yeah.
You say one thing at this end, and then you say yellow banana over here. It's like orange pumpkin. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it's hard to like separate what's real, what's not, and what could be.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Thank you, Jane C, for becoming the newest member. We appreciate your support. Thank you so much. I noticed here it says number 15 was just books. Doesn't even say how many books, just books. Yeah. So, yeah, this thing is super inconsistent, man. Super inconsistent.
You think it's maybe a timing thing because they're just collecting so fast, and maybe they have a certain time and they're just running things down now?
It shouldn't be because this is a high profile case, man.
Yeah, it's true.
Not even that. This evidence receipt right here. You don't need to have it signed. Well, this is signed by Michael F. Kohberger. So this is by the dad, right? And so the dad signed off on this. So maybe, I would think that they would have told the guy like, "Yo, you're gonna wait until we're done processing this." And, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, they had Michael Kohberger sign off on all this.
And I think though, there's one document. I forget what one it is. Maybe it was the one before this is where we actually saw Bryan's signature for the first time. It could have been on this one. I'm not sure. I can't remember. Might be
I
way
think
at
it's
the top.
page 4.
Mm.
No, it's not.
No, I know it's on there somewhere because I remember looking there. I was like, oh wow, there's his signature.
Interesting. That'd be. I'd like to see his handwriting
because it wasn't on the It wasn't on the search warrant of his apartment out at WSU. It was on one of these. Try scrolling down. I know it is because I saw it and I was like, whoa. I know I'm not crazy.
I think it's also on the. I have to go look for it, but I'm pretty sure we have it as well. But it's on the citation.
His handwriting is very scribbly. It's very like 5th grade-ish. Not that mine's any good, but
he was. I think it was Michael J. Fox who was writing that shit.
Yeah, yeah, man. The handwriting on this received property is
now this
horrific.
is gonna bug me. Let me see if I can find it in my documents.
Yeah, I remember there was like something curls and there was cards and I don't know, man. Remember that?
Yeah.
Oh, that one with about his car, I believe.
What about it?
Like they were saying something about like we couldn't tell if it was curls or cards or.
Oh yeah, curls.
Oh yeah, the ID cards.
Yeah, and all that stuff. I was like, what the hell? Like, and that's why, like, I think I sent you they checked it out.
Yeah, it's and that's what I was looking at here, but it's too small. I mean, I can see it on my screen, of course.
Yeah.
But on y'all's, it would be pretty small. Gloves, motherboard, Washington State University paperwork, note from Bryan from Montana, medical documents, court documents, note to dad from Bryan. And so, there's the 2 notes that he had written. I would assume both of them are to dad, so this might be some kind of sentimental type of thing. But yeah, he had supposedly like 10 ID cards in a glove in something. And I don't know, might be some kind of sentimental thing as well. Maybe his, university ID cards, his school ID card, his work card, things of that nature. Those things can add up.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Cynthia Gaines, for your $5 super sticker. We appreciate you.
I'm really interested to find out more about Bryan's upbringing, I guess you could say. I want because like if he's guilty of this, if he's the one who did it, and he was trying to imitate someone else, then he's probably had some tendencies in his past.
Right.
I pulled it up, Daniel. If you want to, I presented my screen. I have it, the document. There you go. It's right there.
Oh, gotcha. Huh.
It was on the extradition waiver.
Yeah, there it is. Huh.
It's right here.
That does look like a little kid wrote it.
You can see.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. We need to go and talk to from
handwriting expert.
Yeah, from a criming shame. We've had criming shame on the show, and they have a handwriting expert.
Oh wow!
Yeah, on their panel. And so we need to get them back on. We'll talk about that. Yeah, man. Things of that nature. Drink. Yeah, that's one thing that I talk about quite a bit. I feel that there's a lot of evidence here, but I do think that there's
flimsy.
I don't think there's anything like concrete. I'll leave it at that. There's just a lot of like little things. But don't get me wrong, I think they got the right guy. When you look at the case in its total, where the prosecution's going to want you to look at it, they're going to want you to say, all right, this guy had the black gloves, he had the eyebrows, the height, the weight, the car without the front license plate, the phone was off during the time of the commission of the crime. He was out and about during that time. He's seen before and after on video. You have the DNA on the sheet. You have all these things, and in total, when you put everything together, it looks like it's pointing in one direction. The defense is going to go in there and try to pick all that apart. They're going to talk about the conditions of the apartment when Dylan saw the person, as far as how lit the area was or not lit it was, the quality of the footage of the vehicle, the accuracy of the pings. I mean, there's going to be all those things that are going to be attacked one piece at a time. Do you think that, and we'll start off with you, Jaime, do you think that if they don't find the knife, that is going to be it's a huge win for the defense?
Yeah, I do. It would be a win for them, but they still have to explain all the digital footprint.
Right.
You think, like, I mean, you can even commit without a body, right? So,
right. Well, let me ask you this question instead. Do you think that, well, what is the most important piece of evidence in this case? Do you think that they can be found?
They can be found. I think the DNA on the sheath. That's gonna be it.
Yeah. Right.
If it doesn't come back to him, then oh man.
See, for me, the DNA on the sheath is it's a big piece. I'm not going to deny it, but if it's just touch DNA, then I'm not saying that it can be easily explained, but there could be explanation for it. Maybe it just says that he handled it at one point. And it also depends on what type. And based on the airmail article, it said that it was just one speck of DNA on the button sheath. And so, I mean, that's all you need. But to me, the DNA that's more important is in the car, is if there's any of the victim's DNA in the car. If there's none, I think this is going to be a very difficult case to prove without reasonable doubt.
Yeah.
And if there's not, and if there is, I think it's going to be very difficult the other way around to prove or to get out of it, and or if there's any evidence of DNA, I know they collected a couple of strands of hair and even a dog's hair at his apartment. If any of those come back to the victim, he's done. It's over. There's nothing else you can say about it. But if he doesn't, then there's the question, like, how does somebody commit a crime like this, immediately jump in their car and not have any DNA in it?
Yeah. I mean, first of all, it's dumb to use your own car, first of all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
So, like, there's that. But, yeah, exactly. Like, from what they told us about the scene there at the resident, it was real bloody. It was, you can do a lot of damage with a knife, and then you can get it all over yourself too, all the blood,
Right.
It's not as clean as using the weapon, a firearm.
To a certain extent.
Well, I mean, if you're super close.
Right. Like, as far as the splatter or coming back at you. Yeah. You're absolutely right in that aspect. With the knife thing, especially depending on where somebody's hitting, for the amount of blood that is being described, you would assume some arteries were, if they were alive when those things were hit, blood's going to be pumping. That gushes out. That goes everywhere. And that's going to get on the person that's closest to them, the surrounding area, the whole 9 yards. And so, to me, I just find it almost impossible for there not to be DNA in that car. It, by the sounds of it, and from from the evidence, is he was in there very quickly and out of there very quickly. You're looking at approximately, people are saying, at the longest 9 minutes. I think that's enough time to go in there and commit the crime, but I don't think that's enough time to go in there, commit the crime, and clean yourself up at the same time. You get what I'm saying? So, unless he had something with him that.
And you have to look at it too. I mean, when he got to PA, he was seen feverishly scrubbing that car down. So why would you be doing that at 2-3 o'clock in the morning? The FBI observed him.
Right.
I wonder if that was like if his dad even questioned it about it. You know what I mean? Because he did it at his parents' home, right?
Right. Yeah.
No, or maybe like we were talking about it last time that maybe he has was it OCD?
Yeah.
Maybe it's something that's not out of the normal for him to do that. But it's pretty. You know, if you see it now, you're like, okay, now that you put your eyes to that certain person, then you're gonna start seeing this little like discrepancies. You know what I mean? Like, oh, he's cleaning his car at 2 a.m. Maybe he did it before. He used to do it before.
Right.
You know, but now it's like, oh, it's not. Now you're pointing at it because he's like suspect. You know.
Man, I don't know about that, dude. Doing that at 2 a.m. in December in Pennsylvania,
Right? Yeah, you never know.
That shit's cold, man.
It's cold.
That shit, you know,
I was 50's cold for here for Texas. So
yeah,
I'm in the Northeast, man. It's cold.
Yeah, I was gonna say, dude, I went to Pittsburgh for at the beginning of January. It was only 30 something degrees, but for me, it was shit. It was freezing. You know, and that week it was like 70 degrees up here in Texas, down here in Texas. So yeah, I'm gonna look for some pictures of Bryan, but I could have sworn like the ones that I've seen of him, especially you know, and his jumpsuit, his hands are super red. And to me, it seems like from overwashing. And so, you know, could he be one of those OCD guys, one of those clean freaks? Possibly. And just, you know, that I don't know if that would fall under the MO of somebody's that like anal about being clean and stuff to commit a crime this bloody.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't jive with me, to be honest with you.
Yeah, like when you said about the DNA evidence being in his car. I mean, shit, we're missing DNA inside, like all the tracks inside the house. From what we know, we only know about one footprint, one good footprint.
Right, and that footprint wasn't even seen until the second time with the Amino Black had to bring it up.
Yeah.
You know, 100%. Yeah. You definitely can do that.
Okay,
Bryan.
so let me ask you this. So you talked about, you know, if he's not the person that did this, how does that sheath get in the house with his DNA? So there's got to be some connection. Then he's obviously been there before, a party or hung out. You know, how do they explain that? That's what I'm saying. If everybody has said, and even DM has said, I've never seen this person before, I never really, you know, noticed them before. Even the families of the victims have said that they've never seen this guy before. How did they explain that he's been at that house then?
Yeah. Especially because he's a lot older too.
Right. I mean, do
you think he maybe is, you know, snuck in the house before? You know, I don't know. That's the thing that doesn't sit well with me. How did his DNA get in that house? As he's never been in there before, especially on a knife sheath.
If the knife sheath was, it depends. There's a couple of different ways. He could say that he's gone to a couple of different stores and handled them in the store, and maybe somebody else bought it after him. He can say that because he's in criminal justice, teacher's assistant, that he has shown several knives, and that maybe one of the knives that he's handled in his classroom was that one from being confiscated from somebody at school or something of that nature. But you know, there would be a paper trail for those things, except for the, you know, handling something at Walmart or whatever. You know, it's a great question. How does he explain it? You know, he can even say something to the effect that it was his and it was stolen. And, you know, those are the common ones.
Right.
Does it mean that, you know, does it sound plausible? Like, you know, hey, the knife that you stole, that was stolen from you, just so happens to be found. The sheath happens to be found in a quadruple homicide case inside the building. It's kind of suspect. I'll tell you this: when I was in law enforcement, we would get into these high-speed chases with people, right? Whether it was somebody did. I remember one of them was because these people were drunk and they went and did a beer run. Another one was these folks were transporting narcotics in a car and it got busted. And the owner of the car, once he found out that it got busted, he called and reported it stolen. You know, a lot of people do that. They're like, if something goes down in that way, and let's just say they were lending their car to somebody to go do a drug run, which is pretty common. That happens quite a bit. You know, they'll put their car somewhere, they'll get it loaded up, and then they'll come back to it, or they'll lend their car out for X amount of money.
Right.
So that is a different type of car that's being traveled down the road. And I remember one time that was the situation, was somebody borrowed someone's car. The person who lent the car was fully aware of what they were doing with it. And they ended up getting a high-speed chase, and the vehicle ended up crashing. They arrested the driver of the vehicle, and I think it was like 20 minutes, 30 minutes later, we got a call that the car was reported stolen. And we're like, oh, come on. Now it gets reported stolen after, like, what is the likelihood? You know what I'm saying? But those are some things that do commonly come up and are said and are used as a defense, because, you know, even though somebody is saying that, and to you and I, and to most people that are reasonable, would think that that's just BS because of the timing. Is there a possibility that it could have occurred, that somebody stole a vehicle and then filled it up with drugs and drove it somewhere, and you just so happen to notice it immediately after they got busted? Yeah, it's possible. Plausible, maybe not so much, but possibility is there. And so you know, you got to take things with what you can prove. That's the saying from Training Day. It's not what you know, it's what you can prove. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, what we can prove is there is DNA on that sheath inside the house, and that's going to be up to Bryan. Their team is going to have to figure out a way to defend that. I don't think they can just kind of like say, okay, and not talk about it, and it just nothing happened to it. You know what I'm saying? The only other thing is maybe perhaps, but then it's not so much proving he's innocent. It's just, you know, finding loopholes to so that he's not found guilty, is if they try to get the DNA thrown out. And the reason being is if they, I don't know Pennsylvania laws about trash and taking trash out of there, things like that. So if there's some kind of weird law about you have to ask for permission about the trash, then that DNA
get thrown out.
That could be thrown out. But that doesn't prove he's innocent. That's just a loophole,
right,
to not have him found guilty, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
And so, wait, you want to go to jail or you want to go home?
Yeah, that's a great line.
That is a great line. But in that movie, it's true. It's not what you know. There's a lot of times that police officers and law enforcement agencies know a lot of things, but it comes down to what they can prove and prove without a reasonable doubt. I mean, if there's question about certain thing, you know, you only get one shot at it. Yeah. You know, if they get, found not guilty because you didn't find all the evidence that was out there, and that evidence comes forward later, it's not like you can try them again. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But we've definitely gone way over our usual. Bryan, if you want to put in into the live chat your link, so that way everybody can go out to the YouTube show channel, The Opinionated Idiot, and give him a follow and subscribe. Let him know that we sent you there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I put the I'm sorry to cut you off. I put the link to our show on Thursday night. I'm going to have these guys over on my channel on Thursday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to do Bryan Kohberger, and we'll get into it over there. I got a lot of questions for these guys, so
nice. We know the case pretty well, and so I have questions about this case that I don't know the answer to, and that's one thing that I don't like, is I want to look at a case and if there's a question, it bugs me until I get an answer. Jaime, do you have any final words for everybody before we get out?
What's it called? Everything that was in inventory, they took an inventory. The defense is gonna have to come up with an excuse for it. You know what I mean? An alibi for it or something. You know. So it's gonna be a long trial.
Well, I mean, maybe. I don't think everything's going to be entered into evidence that they got. Like, for instance, probably like his clothes. If there's like nothing on there, the clothes that he was wearing that was on his person that day, that's not going to show up. The documents, his health cards, his registration, his medical insurance card, those things won't show up. And so, but I do think that there's going to be a lot of it that he is going to have to go through. I mean, they've already they showed it up. I think it was like almost 1,100 photographs, 900 and something pages of documents. So there's quite a bit. Tomorrow, y'all, I think around 11 a.m. Central, 12 p.m. Eastern, myself and Big Blue will be going live. We're going to be doing our early show. Jaime has to work, so unfortunately, Jaime won't be there. He will probably be in the live chat, so keep an eye out for him there. We'll be doing we're going to be trying something different. We're going to do a live during the day on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and you don't want to miss it. So, but
what's it called?
Go ahead.
Hey, check your private chat.
Ooh. All right.
So the link didn't work because I don't think I'm a moderator. So if you want to post the link to that show for Thursday, the hyperlink will show up. People can just click right into it, set the reminder.
I put it in there. Let me know if it came out.
It worked. Yep. Awesome.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So that's going to be the show. We're going to be coming out on Thursday. I think probably tomorrow. I'll share the link also on our community page. That way people can find it as well.
Cool.
Don't want to miss it, guys. We're going to be talking about Idaho. We're going to talk about, really deep dive into it. It's been a while since we've dived deep into everything. And so you don't want to miss that. But we'll be here tomorrow. Hit that like and subscribe. Ring that notification bell. You know what to do, y'all. That's it.